Welcome everyone to High Quality User Stories webinar. Why this is happening? I want to share anything I've struggled with, anything I've learned through my 16 years of experience as QA to as many people as possible. In the last couple of years, I've worked with several teams, and as much as they don't want to admit, they have common problems. And I want to help as many teams overcome these problems earlier instead of hitting the wall many times until they learn. I'm also launching a course in November. So as you might guess, nothing is for free. These webinars are to promote the course as well. The topics are part of the course. It's on Maven. You'll see more about it later. But everything in software development starts with a user, a story, a need, a business problem to solve. This is where quality assurance also starts, not in the end. So that's why today we're going to talk about what is a high quality user story. I will only scratch the surface, really, but I think you'll like it. And as promised in various messages and announcements about the talk, you'll get a user story checklist that I really like. I use it a lot, and I try to make product managers and product owners to use it as well. So there will be something that you can apply to tomorrow morning or later in the afternoon, depending when your day starts. So very quickly, who am I? A QA tester, bug hunter by heart. I see bugs everywhere, in the process, in the products, in people probably, and trying always to give advice, whether wanted or not. I have opinion about everything in software development, so I decided to start sharing it for free. 16 years already. When I learned that software quality is not ensured only by testing, we need a more thorough approach, starting from the beginning, working with the processes, with the workflows, making sure we work efficiently, making sure we work together, and that quality is built in, not only tested at the end for 2 days when there's no time and we do shortcuts, etc., etc. I've worked with startups in the recent years, and I've seen that they're literally lost in translation about software quality. What is quality? What is testing? What nobody talks about non-functional testing. It's some dream, or not even a dream, but something completely incomprehensible for them. And they waste a lot of time. My biggest pain actually is the waste of time for startups, because the chaos is so big that it's very difficult to catch up with deadlines, to catch up with quality, to not make quick and dirty decisions and solutions. So I really want to help and share again. Let's not learn the lessons the hard way. Some of you know that I'm a solid Rock fan. Some of you don't know that I've grown to become a very solid Liverpool fan as well. Sorry for everybody else, and for yesterday. Sorry, or what is the other day? And I'm a very grateful wife, because my husband is taking after the kids right now. Otherwise, I will not be able. It's 7 p.m. where I am in Bulgaria. It wouldn't be possible to have this talk at all. All right, enough about me. I'm going into slideshow mode. So, what is a high quality user story? It's not what we are used to see and what we are used to work with. User stories I don't think any, like kind of majority of people who work with and teams who work with user story, I don't think they have read user stories applied. I haven't. Probably everything is pretty neat and clean there. And if we have read that book, we would be able to be much more efficient with user stories and write it the proper way. But what I've seen right now is that it's one sentence, extremely generic, thrown at the development team, deal with it, and then a huge mess, a huge delay and waste in back and forth, in communication, no technical solution, no design documents, no test cases. Everything is somewhere in Slack or in notes or in our handbooks, but it's pretty distributed knowledge, and it costs a lot because we don't pave a very solid ground for our technical growth, for our product growth. We don't know how teams are not aware how this story is aligned with overall product strategy or technical strategy or quality strategy. There are a lot of pieces, somehow prioritized, most of the time cut in the middle or not properly broken down to really bring value faster, but somehow, and it's just a mess. If we have a messy user story at the beginning, we can't expect very high quality at the end of the development process. Somewhere between, I would call them old school software requirement document, the so-called SRS. Some of you might remember them. I call them old school with a lot of love because I really miss those documents. They had it all. They had everything I just listed in one place, and teams, regardless of the size of the functionality, it was actually much easier to maintain and to update in comparison to trying to collect all the information today that is spread around Confluence and Slack and emails and so forth. So somewhere in between the old SRS and the user story, I've worked with product requirement documents, which were something in between, much smaller than the SRS, still bigger than the user story. Probably they're the golden middle, but again, teams don't want to write specifications. In today's talk, I will not talk about how to write specification, but how to make this one sentence user story into something really working and inspirational for the engineering team, and having a checklist, which is the most optimal way of creating information. We can really make sure that we have everything we need to build high quality user value fast, and consider functional and non-functional qualities of the user story early in the process. So how did that user story make it through the backlog grooming? I don't know. Every day I ask myself, how did that user story make it through the backlog grooming or refinement or whatever we like to call it? It's one sentence. Everybody said they understand it. We prioritize, we estimate, of course. How do you estimate? Write in the chat. Hours, story points, t-shirt sizes. Tell me while I'm talking. And then there's so many clarifications. This story stays in to-do state or in development for 3-4 days until it's clarified. Still, it's not clarified. Then it goes to product, to PR review, to pull request, to technical review, code review, whatever you use, you're used to. Again, it stays there for several days, not because the code is not written okay, but because there are some actual technical decisions to be made, which depend on feedback and more information from the product manager. Then finally we get the information from the product manager. It's the PR gets committed, and then it goes for testing. And then all hell breaks loose because it's full of bugs that are as required, or it's not written in the user story. Nobody has thought about it. It works probably somehow, you know, not major. We don't have time for thorough testing because we're already late. But still, there are things that are not clarified in terms of whether this requirement was properly defined as such. This is not a user story. We should not be working with one-sentence user stories. Nobody should. It's slow. It's waste of time. It actually delays the entire workflow until the release. It can delay even if you do continuous delivery, you're already late because the one-sentence user story is not working. So let's try to change the pattern. Instead of as some kind of user, I want to do something so that I can achieve a goal. Let's put ourselves as software development team or company really in the shoes of our real users. What pain are we solving or healing for them? Where is our user when they use our feature? Our user, there is an end user. Forget about the sponsor, forget about the investors or the government agency we're working for. There is an actual user there. A clerk or an accountant or a software developer because we're building some technical tool and he's trying to configure it, but it's breaking and the version is different and we cannot update it. We've been there. Or it's a mass production software and like when I can't sleep, I usually shop online, which is not very useful for, you know, family budget, but I might be very tired, almost sleepy, and just quit the completion of the order because the flow is too complicated and I'm so sleepy that I will probably have to enter my credit card 3 times and I'm already sleepy and I can't do that because it's error prone and etc. etc. So I, as a user who is tired, it's Friday night, I want to go to sleep, but just have forgotten to buy something or to do something, I will quit doing that job because the user flow or the software is not welcoming enough for my state as a user right now. All of these questions probably are answered during an ideation phase by the UX research team, if we're lucky to have one. However, I really doubt, or from what I've seen, these feelings, how our users feel at the moment they're using our software, are not really translated in the user story. And developers in development team don't really understand how important it is that you have validation, proper validation, because again, your user needs to do something very fast. They are late because of something or something. Who is your user? What are they working? And as I like to joke, somebody would say, but these are the personas about. No, they're not. The personas are very happy people, like our first man here, the first human on the picture. They're very happy. It's Monday morning. They're not late. They're enthusiastic, full of energy. However, the test user is usually the person on the desk who is angry. It's late. They're doing something in a rush. And probably 10 100 or 1,000 other users are doing this thing in a rush. Are we really thinking about our users? And how are we going to heal their pain? So here's my proposal, or recommendation, or advice. Let's put ourselves in our customer shoes and ask ourselves, how do we want our users to feel when they use our software? And it's not from our user perspective, the user story, but from us as the people who are developing the software. I, as a software engineer, do I care when I write my code, when I read the requirement, how I want my user to feel when they use my feature? Do I care? Probably yes, or not. We're given a requirement, we write it the way it is. Sometimes we care to ask for more information. Sometimes we don't. Most of the time, we are late. So we don't really have time to care how my user is going to feel when they use this particular piece of code. Product managers are closer to the user. Probably they have more overview about how the user should feel. Still, I've seen so many stories that are not even talking about the user. And what is worse, when a product manager writes a story, I want them to ask themselves, how do they want the software engineers to feel when they read the story and start implementing it? It should be a straightforward exercise. Some of you are testers like myself, and you know that there are very strict requirements and criteria how a bug report should look like, a bug description. We always aim to be so thorough enough, but also with very compact description of the bug, that when a developer sees the bug description, they immediately can trace where the problem is. It should not be necessary for them to come to us back and ask us, what did you mean here? For all testers, the biggest, one of the greatest failures is to receive a bug which not able to reproduce. So we've learned how to report bugs so that the developer just fixes it. I want such thoroughness and clarity with user stories as well. When the development test team, UX team, the entire team, cross-functional teams reads a user story, they should immediately, their engineering thinking should immediately start speaking. Apart from that, we as a team want to write a user story to make sure that our users really enjoy using our product. They really feel that our product solves their problem, heals their pain, makes them happier. But then it's not only us and our users. They're stakeholders. There are other instances, people, teams, dependencies, partners. There are plenty of other interested parties that we need to consider when we write the user stories. And we also should care how they would feel when the team is late or not, or what type of, and that's small bracket, that's the next webinar on a Friday, what could go wrong. So within the user story, it should be so well articulated that it should already be clear what risks we should not allow to happen. So here's an example. I've tried to come up with some very boring user story and make it more human-centered. an account manager. I want to be, that's a real user story, by the way. There could be somebody from the company where this story comes from. As an account manager, I want to be able to apply a discount on my customer quote so that I can convert more leads. Absolute valid user story. Imagine an internal tool. We're a B2B company. Of course, SAS, everybody's SAS. We're a B2B company. We receive quotes. We need to apply a discount. I'm an account manager. I have targets. I have KPIs. I have key results. There particular amount of orders that I need to sell this quarter. And the development team is building software that makes me do my job. So absolutely valid user story. And if I'm not able to apply a discount on there, or there's a problem with the discount, and it sounds extremely simple, but it's very buggy. It can be very buggy functionality, actually, if not written and analyzed and tested properly. Still, this story says nothing about the user. And I, as an account manager, I'm not the user. My user is the one I'm selling to. And the user of the development team is the one our company is selling to. So here's the change. As an account manager, I want my users to feel special and taken care of when I send them a discount code for their loyalty. It's a completely different thing. And when the development team also reads this story, the completely different side of the brain will start working. No, we will feel more empathy about our users. We'll actually understand, and we will remember we are users ourselves, because all of us like to get a discount on a piece of software or shoes or bags or whatever it is, especially if it's because we're loyal. I bought 2 watches from a German company, because 2 more watches because they send me discount codes, very sufficient discount codes for being a loyal customer. It's different. And one of the problems with software industry today is that every software development team forgets that they're customers themselves. We forget we're customers ourselves. We're in a rush to launch. We're in a rush to get more customers, to release because of this or that partnership, because we're self-funded, especially if we're startups, or because there's huge pressure from the board if we're not self-funded, because of this or that, because there's a conference coming and we need to demo our new functionality, etc., etc., etc. I'm sure you have even more stories to share why we are in a rush. But when we are in a rush, we forget that we're customers ourselves and how we feel every day when we work with buggy software. It's daily for all of us, I'm sure. Every day we get more and more used to software that is not working properly. Okay, again, how do we want our users to feel after they have used our feature? It's another question, actually. It's one thing when we're doing our job, because most of the time, again, we are the scope of the MVP or the user story is make sure the job can be done. How exactly? It's not so important. But there's nothing worse than being stuck with software that really gets your job done, but it's so tedious to work with. And I've also worked with such type of software that you feel dirty after you've used it. You don't feel satisfied. You don't you're not proud of the job you've done with this software because it was so tedious to work with. I'm sure this is not what we want for our users. So here are some examples. I have favorite software. You will recognize some of these softwares. We want our users to feel relieved, thankful, as if we know them better than themselves. And one of the last, I don't follow the IoT industry a lot, but I was amazed. A couple of weeks ago, a lady tweeted that she received a notification from her IoT home security company that she will not be able to get or to unlock her door because of system maintenance. And it was absolutely okay. She had to go to their office, which could have been, in another town, city, or country. Now it was a local service, so it was relatively close. But imagine that. So she had to get to their office to get a card or a key or whatever, because the app was about to get upgraded. Not good. So, how to write user stories that are not allowing our users to feel disappointed from our software? User stories, for me, have three components: text, content, and artifacts. What's different between text and content? When I read a requirement or a user story, I read it as pure text without putting too much meaning in it, just like I'm reading any other text. Is it well-written text? Is it grammatically correct? We might not, especially as I'm not a native English speaker. We might not speak English well, but we must write it perfect. There are a lot of spell checking tools. I'm a huge fan of Grammarly as well. I use it all the time. They are tools that can make us write well-articulated user stories. I'm amazed how big of a problem this is. Let's write it correct. Let's make sure it's specific. We really say how our users want to feel. What do we need to solve as a problem? What pain are we feeling? What is this exact thing that we are writing about? Because most user stories I've read can apply to every software in the world. They're not specific, context specific to our users, to our product, to our product vision and strategy, to our technology stack. They're not specific. They're full of ambiguities. They're either one sentence, which is over compact, it's more than compact, beyond compact, or it's one paragraph of text that probably contains 20 user stories in there. And it's so tangled and difficult to follow that you need one day to sit, read, and understand what's the problem that is described. It's full of repetitions all the time, especially, I'm sorry, but especially junior product managers or junior business analysts. They try to follow this pattern, and without taking into consideration the product technology and business and customer context, and really thinking about the problem we want to solve, they just repeat one and the same sentence over and over again without bringing much information. Or on the contrary, they try to put as many notes as they can come with, which again is noise for the user story and it blocks engineering thinking. So once we read the story and we are sure that it looks good, it's a good text, it's a good piece of text written most of the time in English. Then let's think what information this text brings to us. So we review the user story in terms of content. I will keep repeating. The user story should be compact, but thorough. It should be clear why are we doing this user story. I haven't mentioned the why question so far. Most of you are familiar. We need the first thing a user story should state is how this user story again aligns with our business strategy, customer focused product vision. Why are we doing it? It should describe the outcome, how do we want our user to feel after they've used our software? Accomplished, satisfied, relaxed, relieved, or stressed? Because our customer being stressed after using our software is very often outcome. Examples, again, are putting ourselves in our customer's shoes and trying to explain it verbally. Mocks and UIs are, UI designs are in the artifact section, but how do we imagine this piece of software to be used? Inspirational is, again, you saw that previous example with the account management. It could be, yeah, the account manager wants to get more leads so they get promoted, or our users will feel special because they're treated specially with some discounts. It makes a difference. Something very important about the content is, again, making sure it's thorough, it's complete. There are no scope cuts. What I've seen, again, very often is product managers try to reduce the content and digest the content of the story for the developers without being aware what it will really take to build that software. They assume a piece of functionality will be more complicated to build, difficult, time-consuming. They assume without really knowing, which leads to scope cuts. And these scope cuts are then revealed again on tech review and during testing that, but we should have implemented this first, or we should have thought about this first because it's more time consuming now. And for scope creeps, which is probably even more often, again, because product managers very often work in isolation, which is one of the topics for my talk next Tuesday. Clean is fast. How to work more in collaboration so that we don't end up in this continuous, endless back and forth in clarification, comments, questions, and delay the entire release because we've worked in isolation initially. A last component of a high-quality user story are the artifacts. If writing test cases before the coding starts is a must for me, test-driven development is a must for me, but still, even before we start writing and start work, we already started working on the story, but using test cases to clarify the user story and to bring more understanding for the entire team how this feature is going to be used really is one of the superpowers of test cases and testing. So I highly recommend that there are test cases part of the user story, especially before the coding starts. It's a very, very powerful technique to make sure the user story is of high quality. Anything visual naturally Something that I've seen as one of the biggest regression risks is the fact that developers don't like to write information apart from code. And they have implementation consideration, and that keep them for themselves. They might share it somewhere, but it's never written anywhere. One amazingly well working practice that I've seen recently is writing a technical solution document and reviewing it with the entire team. It's a very fast thing to do, and it saves a lot of trouble. Complete redesign or partial redesign of the initial idea because other team members have different implementation considerations. They know more or different parts of the code and the technical environment, infrastructure, etc. They remember quick and dirty decisions taken somewhere in the past. It's very important to write this in the users. Somewhere. All of us work with some task management tools like Jira and Azure DevOps and Asana and Trello and etc. etc. Hopefully all of us have some tool of this kind. You have a ticket, an issue, a story, product backlog item, again, requirement item, we can call it anyway. Write it down. It should be in one place. All of these things I've mentioned are pieces of information that should be in one place. And last but not least, data. Nobody writes anything about the data flow in the user stories. And the data flow turns to be one of the easiest perspectives towards the quality of any feature. Follow the data, how the data object is created, how it's manipulated, how it's destroyed. This is how testers work. We create the object, we destroy the object, and we try to access the object. It always crashes. In different ways with the different languages, but it always crashes because nobody does that. In addition to, let's summarize. In addition to the text being specific and ambiguous, compact, well articulated, no repetition, nothing extraneous, the content being compact but thorough, with examples, describing the outcome, inspirational, with all the artifacts that are necessary to proceed with development. Here is my user story checklist. You will get it in a follow-up email after the webinar tonight or tomorrow, that you can just read through and check it and answer the question during your refinement, during your grooming, whenever your team gets together and starts talking about a new feature. As early as possible. It is very quick validation about the text of the user story, requirement documents, or whatever you work with. It will make sure that it's written well, and it will make sure that you have thought about everything. About validation, about security, about usability, about who is going to use that user story. How are we going to sell this new feature? Are we missing anything? Are there any inaccuracies, any contradictions? It's a lot, but it's actually applicable to every one-sentence user story. It's not about the size of your requirement. It's about the meaning. What do you have in there? Can you work with it going on further? It's very powerful. You can cut an extreme amount of bugs with this user story checklist. You can prevent extreme amount of production issues. You can make sure that the technical solution is correct. It's an amazing collaboration tool for your entire team to sit together and really think about the quality of that story, that feature, epic, or it doesn't matter. Again, the size doesn't matter. It could be something that you're going to build now or you're planning to build. It will help you validate the idea. It will help you prioritize the idea. If you run your idea, your one-sentence idea, if you run it against this user story checklist. So, what's next? Homework. Of course. This is kind of a joke, of course, but not because I want you to try this user story checklist. And the first 3 sections, they're not written the same way in the user story checklist, but use these 3 slides as introduction to the user story checklist as well. Pick 3 stories. 1 is too few. You can pick something that you're not comfortable with. Try 3. 3 is a good number. 3 user stories from your backlog. Run them against the user story checklist. It could be anything you're about to start working on, your next sprint or next week, or regardless of next iteration or whenever, something that you are about to refine next week or this week or tomorrow, just use it. Try it, give it a shot. You will come up with so much more information that will save you a lot of troubles later. Then, if you have doubt, and I know that one of the questions that usually comes up is, what about technical user stories? Stories that are, I as a developer want to change this component because it's used here and there. Or for example, one recent example was adding health monitoring to interface to all the services, microservice infrastructures, health monitoring tool that reports different alerts and exceptions from the software from each service. It was not integrated in all of the services. So here's a user story. And the developers would say that this is a technical user story. There's nothing with the user. Everything is about the user. I, as a company that delivers software, want to be immediately informed if there is a problem with my software so that my user doesn't get bothered about this problem. It's always about the user and the level of quality we're committed to. So if you have doubts like this, I would like to invite you to my Slack channel. Can I copy this? My Slack workspace. You're welcome. I can't live without Slack, so you're welcome to join this Slack workspace. When testers do new things, we always do the wrong thing first. So I unmark the auto joining for this channel user stories, find the channel, join it. And if you have any questions or doubts anytime about user stories, feel free to join and ask and send them, and I'll be happy to help. So the next thing is the next talks coming on Friday, when we're going to talk about what could go wrong after we've written these amazing user stories and requirements. Let's get deep into the quality, deep into testing, deep into non-functional quality, deep into quality risks, more negative test cases, more edge cases, and exploring all the 55 quality characteristics that a piece of software could have or not have. Most of the time, they don't have any. We will not go through all of these characteristics, of course, but I will also share, I've assembled them in a Miro board where you as a team can use, again, during your refinement to prioritize the right set of qualities for your story, feature, epic. So you're welcome. Again, it's on Eventbrite. Let me see if where's the link? Let me find the link. That's Cyrillic. I should have had the link somewhere. You can follow me on Eventbrite because I plan to proceed with this copy. So this is what could go wrong. And this is the next Tuesday when we're going to talk about clean is fast, clean workflows, clean boards, clean backlog, more collaboration, less handovers, less smaller waiting times, no waiting times, no waste, shorter cycle time. We're going to talk about Kanban and metrics and collaboration, and how to deliver software faster and not waste time. Be more efficient. No waste is one of my mottos. Okay. Yeah, this is the link to Eventbrite, where you can follow me. I do plan to have more talks like this. All right. What's next? Next week, I'm going to be a host for the Quality Gems track on TestCon Europe. I'm very excited, a little bit scared, but it's an online conference. There are a lot of very, very solid speakers, a lot of topics, plenty of topics, a lot about quality, but not also. So check it out. You might like it. I actually have one spare ticket. I should have, I'll give it away to someone next Friday. So join or share. And also in November, there's the Career Show Tech, where I'll be talking, topic is not yet defined, but it will be something about technical inclusion. And by technical inclusion, I mean that we stop separating and talking, referring to ourselves as technical people and non-technical people. This drives me crazy. This is not a technical meeting, it's a business meeting. We will decide, then we will go to developers. Or this is very technical, it will not be interesting for the account managers or for the business owners or for the product managers. This is very technical. This should stop, and why it should stop, why it's detrimental for team motivation, for working as one team. I will talk about all of this, why we should all in a company be interested in all of our work, each other's work and accomplishments and struggle, and try to help each other as much as we can as one team. This is what I'm going to talk about. And as I said in the beginning, I will proceed with these talks regardless of the success of the course I'm launching, but in November, I'm launching the course on Maven, software quality for startups. It's somewhere here. 3 weeks where we're going to talk about how to define the right quality strategy for your company. Do we really know who we are as a company? Do we really know our customers? Do we assume that our customers prefer to get a low quality software faster, or they will be ready to pay for high quality or wait for higher quality. How to define user stories as a team. How to synthesize the essential qualities for our software. Part of it we will talk about on Friday. How to deliver as a team, meaning test as a team, release as a team, working together, daily team testing sessions, not waiting for feedback, but asking for feedback. How to clean our workflows, how to, something that we'll talk about next Tuesday. Metrics, which metrics can really optimize and guide us to optimize and speed up our development. And by speed up, I mean clean the waste, not doing shortcuts, because quick and dirty is never fast. It's always slow, it always pays back a lot within huge amounts later. So how to work smarter and to deliver faster instead of building up bigger and bigger mess. So this is why all of these webinars are introduction to the course. And of course, there should be something for you. Until Friday noon, you can use Story 15 discount code for 15% discount from the course. The course is going to be 3 weeks, Tuesday and Thursday, 7 to 9 or 8 to 10, I'm not sure. It's around this time, 2 hours each day. And on Wednesdays, there will be Ask Me Anything sessions, again online, where we can exercise what we've learned the previous day. There are a lot of projects, not a lot, but every session there is a homework project. So it's very practical. It's my 3 pillars about quality strategy right now is really understanding what level of quality, what type and level of quality we need to deliver as a company, how to deliver it, how to assure it, and how to work more efficient. All right. Feedback. Copy. Please, please, please. This is my first webinar ever. In public, in front of many friends. I tried to not be very emotional because I know that there are many friends and some of them I haven't seen and met in a long time. They're new friends that I'm even more excited. So please share any feedback. Join the Slack channel. Let's keep the discussion. Let's keep talking. Let's solve more problems, more daily problems. Bring ideas for new webinars. I have probably 100, but it will be nice to see if some of them are going to be useful for you as well. So please, I will also send you the link to the course. Please share your feedback. And on the last minute, there will be no time for questions because that's why the Slack instead. Ask all of your questions in Slack. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everyone who joined today. It's Tuesday evening. You could be working while listening to about user stories. These are my social media channel, Twitter, LinkedIn, email. Join the Slack, and we can proceed meeting and helping each other. I will stop the share. Not pause. Yeah. Did I stop? And it was amazing to have you here. I didn't talk to you a lot. I only talked because this is what I do. I can't stop talking, but I really hope that we can proceed further and keep the discussion going, because there's so much about quality that is not set yet. Thank you, everyone. You were amazing. Thank you for your patience and for your interest.